Welcome to InfoStream, your daily current. Unsure what to listen to? Turn to us for today's headlines. Stay informed. Bondi Beach shooting fatal incident prompts widespread reactions. Border tensions rise. Thailand and Cambodia clash again. Belarus releases prisoners after sanctions relief. Americans killed in Syria by IS terrorists. US deportations fuel deportation fears. Israel targets Hamas leader in Gaza. Christmas market attack attempt prevented in Germany. Brown University shooting results in fatalities and injuries. Trump investigations face redistricting legal battles. AI incident highlights risks in Thailand. Government announces violence against women strategy. Legal challenge to Bristol council ban continues. King Charles shares cancer awareness message. Channel crossings restart after suspension. UK train network undergoes significant changes. Bondi Beach shooting, a summary of key events and reactions. A devastating terror attack occurred at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, targeting a Hanukkah celebration attended by approximately 1,000 people. At least 11 individuals were killed, and 29 sustained injuries, marking Australia's worst mass shooting in decades. 2 suspects remain in custody, with investigations ongoing to determine the full scope of the attack and identify potential accomplices. The attack unfolded when 2 gunmen opened fire amidst the festivities. 1 suspect was neutralized at the scene, while the other was apprehended following a pursuit. Authorities believe the attack was specifically targeted at the Jewish community, given the nature of the event. The incident has triggered widespread condemnation and prompted immediate responses from both domestic and international leaders. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese convened a National Security Committee to address the crisis and coordinate the response. He unequivocally labeled the event as a targeted attack on Jewish Australians, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. Concerns have been raised regarding the rise in anti-Semitism within Australia, particularly following recent global events. International leaders have expressed solidarity with the victims and offered assistance. Israeli President Isaac Herzog interrupted a public address to express his horror and reiterate the urgent need for Australia to combat anti-Semitism. Numerous countries, including the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Italy, have extended condolences and offered support. The Executive Council of Australian Jewry has voiced its outrage and highlighted the vulnerability of the Jewish community. Investigations are focusing on potential motives and examining whether the attack was influenced by extremist ideologies. Law enforcement agencies are working diligently to gather evidence and ensure the safety of the public. The attack has spurred a national conversation about security measures and the need to address rising hate crimes. The investigation remains active, and further details are expected to emerge as the inquiry progresses. Border tensions escalate. Thailand and Cambodia engage in renewed conflict. Recent weeks have seen a significant escalation of tensions along the Thailand-Cambodia border, characterized by renewed military clashes, diplomatic disputes, and the disruption of cross-border movement for Thai citizens. The primary driver of the conflict remains a long-standing territorial dispute, particularly concerning the Sihanouk province and its associated border areas. Military operations have intensified, with Thai forces conducting retaliatory strikes against Cambodian positions, while Cambodian forces have launched attacks into Thai territory, including rocket fire targeting civilian areas. These actions have resulted in casualties on both sides, with Thai soldiers reportedly killed and injured, and 6 civilians injured in Saket. The fighting has been concentrated around key border areas, such as Hill 6677 in Ubon Ratchathani and Kantharalak district in Saket. Diplomatically, the situation is fraught with difficulty. Thailand has expressed outrage at Cambodia's actions, accusing it of violating international humanitarian law and impeding the return of Thai nationals. Cambodian authorities, led by former Prime Minister Hun Sen, have responded by accusing the Thai army of invading Cambodian territory and attacking civilians. Hun Sen has ordered a halt to cross-border travel for both Thai and Cambodian citizens, further complicating the situation. Approximately 7,000 Thai nationals are currently stranded in Poipet, Cambodia, unable to return to Thailand despite prior agreements. This has created a humanitarian crisis, with Thai officials expressing concern for the safety and well-being of the stranded citizens. The conflict has extended beyond direct military engagements, encompassing information warfare. Both sides have engaged in disseminating narratives and accusations, attempting to shape international public opinion. The situation is further complicated by the involvement of regional actors. ASEAN, led by Malaysia, has attempted to mediate the dispute, but efforts have so far been unsuccessful. The United Nations and other international organizations are monitoring the situation and calling for a peaceful resolution. The continued fighting, coupled with the diplomatic impasse, represents a serious threat to regional stability and underscores the urgent need for a comprehensive and lasting solution to the border dispute. The use of advanced weaponry, including Chinese-made anti-tank missiles, has heightened the risk escalation. Belarus prisoner release following U.S. sanctions lift following protracted negotiations spearheaded by Donald Trump's special envoy John Cole. Belarus has released 123 political prisoners, marking a significant shift in relations. The release includes prominent figures such as Maria Kolesnikova, a protest leader known for her red lipstick, Viktor Babarika, a presidential candidate, and Nobel Peace Prize winner Alice Bialyatsky, who had served a decade-long sentence. The release was facilitated by a 2-day visit to Minsk and involved the handover of prisoners to Ukraine, where they will receive medical assistance before being transported to Poland and Lithuania. The agreement represents a major victory for Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, who has long been isolated internationally due to his authoritarian rule and suppression of dissent following the 2020 elections. As part of the deal, the United States lifted sanctions on potash, a crucial export for Belarus, while European sanctions remain in place. Maria Kolesnikova, who spent much of her imprisonment in solitary confinement, expressed immense gratitude to the U.S. administration and the Belarusian government for their role in securing her freedom. She and other released prisoners celebrated their newfound liberty, highlighting the ongoing struggle for freedom within Belarus. The release follows years of political repression and widespread arrests following the 2020 protests. The negotiations underscore a potential thawing in relations between the U.S. and Belarus, particularly given Belarus's close alliance with Russia and its involvement in the conflict in Ukraine. The event has been met with jubilation by supporters and activists who have long campaigned for the release of the prisoners. The situation remains complex, with the U.S. continuing to maintain sanctions against Belarus, but the prisoner release represents a tangible step towards a more normalized relationship. The release of these individuals signifies a crucial moment in the ongoing struggle for democracy and human rights in Belarus. 3 Americans killed in Syria by IS gunmen, 3 American service members and a civilian interpreter were killed in Syria following an ambush by an Islamic State IS gunman. The United States Central Command CENTCOM confirmed the attack occurred while the individuals were conducting a key leader engagement in Palmyra, a location outside the Syrian president's control. 2 U.S. soldiers and the civilian interpreter were killed, while 3 other service members sustained injuries during the engagement. U.S. President Donald Trump swiftly condemned the attack as an ISIS attack and vowed a very serious retaliation. Initial assessments point to the Islamic State group as the likely perpetrator of the ambush. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights identified the gunman as a member of the Syrian security force, although no group has yet claimed responsibility. Identities of the deceased are being withheld pending notification of next of kin, a standard procedure. The attack highlights the continued U.S. military presence in Syria since 2015, primarily focused on training other forces as part of the campaign against IS. The location of the incident outside Syrian government control suggests a potential challenge to operational security. Despite the gravity of the situation, 3 injured U.S. soldiers are reported to be doing well. Investigations are underway to determine the precise circumstances surrounding the attack and to identify any potential security lapses. The incident underscores the ongoing risks faced by U.S. forces operating in Syria and the persistent threat posed by extremist groups. The Syrian government has issued a statement condemning the attack. US-Somalia deportations, a cycle of fear and uncertainty. The recent wave of deportations from the United States to Somalia highlights a complex and troubling situation involving immigration policies, security concerns, and the precarious lives of Somali migrants. Mahad Mohammed, a former Uber driver in Minneapolis, exemplifies this trend. Initially detained for alleged kidnapping and illegal entry, his case was complicated by a threat from Al-Shabaab, a militant Islamist group, which became part of his asylum claim. Despite his denial of the kidnapping charges and the eventual dropping of the case, he was deported after a 30-minute drive, 6-hour journey, and 6 months in detention, primarily due to ICE's actions and the ongoing threat from Al-Shabaab. The deportation process involved multiple stops, including Costa Rica, Senegal, and Kenya, with Mahad enduring a stressful journey in a restraining jacket and alongside other detainees. His return to Somalia, where he had been living for over a decade, was met with a cautious welcome from his clan and local politicians, reflecting his TikTok presence. However, the underlying fear remains, as he continues to receive death threats and takes security precautions. This situation is not isolated. Other young Somali men in Minneapolis, fearing ICE action due to their temporary protected status, and the city's large Somali communities, estimated at 80,000ers, abruptly abandoned their rented apartments, effectively disappearing to avoid detection. Their stories mirror that of Mahad, highlighting the anxiety and disruption caused by the threat of deportation. Another young Somali man, who wished to remain anonymous, spent 18 months in custody before being deported after illegally crossing into the US from Brazil. Driven by a prolonged drought destroying his livelihood, he now faces a bleak future, having spent $20,000 on the journey and possessing no financial resources. These deportations are fueled by President Donald Trump's controversial rhetoric, which has intensified scrutiny and fear within the Somali community. His statements, including calls to go back to where they came from, combined with the alleged fraud in Minnesota's social assistance program, have created an environment of heightened surveillance and apprehension. The situation underscores the vulnerability of these individuals and the urgent need for a more humane and considered approach to immigration policy. The ongoing instability in Somalia, with its persistent security challenges and lack of a central government, further exacerbates the risks faced by those returning to a country with limited opportunities and ongoing threats. Israel's deadly strike targets senior Hamas official in Gaza. In a significant escalation of the ongoing conflict, Israeli forces conducted a deadly strike in Gaza, resulting in the elimination of Raid Saad, the head of weapons production for Hamas's military wing, the Qassam Brigades. The joint statement released by the Israeli militaries, IDF and Shin Bet confirmed Saad's death, stating that he was killed in a vehicle within Gaza City. Saad was a prominent Qassam commander who played a key role in the October 7th attacks on Israeli communities. According to Hamas-run civil defense, 4 individuals, including Saad, were killed and multiple bystanders sustained injuries due to the blast. Further investigations revealed that the strike also claimed the life of Saad's aide, Abu Ahmad al-Aban, and another lower-ranking official. Due to restrictions imposed by Israel, the BBC is unable to independently verify the details of the incident or conduct on-the-ground reporting within Gaza. The IDF stated that Saad was responsible for numerous soldier deaths in the Gaza Strip, attributing these deaths to explosive devices he oversaw. Saad was a member of the newly formed 5-member Leadership Military Council established following the ceasefire agreement in October. Israeli forces had repeatedly attempted to target Saad, with a notable previous attempt occurring in March 2024, when a surprise operation in Gaza City aimed to apprehend or eliminate him. Despite his escape from the targeted complex, Saad has remained a high-priority target for Israeli forces, with efforts to capture or kill him dating back over 2 decades. The ongoing conflict continues to escalate with each targeted strike, highlighting the persistent struggle between Israel and Hamas. German Christmas market attack plot foiled. German authorities have successfully thwarted a planned attack targeting a Christmas market in Bavaria, resulting in the arrest of 5 individuals. The arrests, made on Friday, stem from suspicions of a coordinated plot involving the deliberate ramming of a vehicle into a crowded festive market. The investigation centers around an alleged Islamist motive, a significant concern following recent security vulnerabilities. Prosecutors identified a 56-year-old Egyptian national as the central figure in the scheme. He is accused of actively advocating for a vehicle attack with the explicit intention of causing widespread casualties. The prosecution's evidence indicates he called for a targeted assault on a Christmas market, aiming to inflict maximum harm on attendees. 3 Moroccan nationals and 1 Syrian individual were apprehended alongside the Egyptian suspect. Authorities believe these men were complicit in the plot, agreeing to participate in carrying out the attack. The investigation suggests a pre-arranged plan involving the individuals' cooperation in executing the dangerous assault. This incident follows a heightened state of alert within Germany, triggered by previous terrorist attacks at Christmas markets. Specifically, the devastating attack in Magdeburg last December, which resulted in the tragic deaths of 6 people, has underscored the nation's vulnerability. The recent arrests represent a critical step in preventing further attacks and demonstrate ongoing efforts to safeguard public safety during the holiday season. Law enforcement agencies are continuing their investigation, seeking to uncover the full extent of the plot and ensure the apprehension of all involved individuals. The situation highlights the need for continued vigilance and collaborative efforts to address potential threats to public gatherings. Brown University shooting search continues after 2 dead, 9 injured. A mass shooting at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, has resulted in 2 fatalities and 9 injuries, prompting a large-scale manhunt and ongoing shelter-in-place orders. The incident occurred in a classroom within the Hawley Engineering Building, a 7-story block housing laboratories and classrooms, during final exam periods. Initial reports indicated a suspect was in custody, but subsequent updates have clarified that this individual was not involved in the shooting and was subsequently released. The shooting, which began around 1600 local time, 2100 GMT on Saturday, involved a male suspect who was observed fleeing the scene wearing all black clothing and potentially wearing a mask. CCTV footage was released showing the suspect's departure, but details regarding his identity, motive, and the weapon used remain unconfirmed. Investigators are utilizing CCTV from surrounding buildings and exploring digital footprints, including social media activity and vehicle tracking. Emergency responders, including police, fire departments, and medical services, are actively engaged in the search and rescue operation. Students and faculty have been directed to shelter in place, locking doors and silencing phones. Over 2,000 students have been relocated to safe locations. The shooting has been compared to the 2012 Sandy Hook elementary school shooting, highlighting the profound trauma and ongoing concerns surrounding gun violence in the United States. Community leaders are grappling with the emotional impact and preparing for the long-term consequences. To date, there have been at least 389 mass shootings in the U.S. this year. Law enforcement agencies are coordinating extensively, with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, AATF, actively involved in the investigation. The search focuses on tracing the firearm, identifying the suspect, and understanding the circumstances surrounding the event. The university remains on lockdown, and the campus is experiencing significant disruption. The investigation is ongoing, and further updates are expected as new information becomes available. The incident has underscored the need for enhanced security measures and ongoing efforts to address gun violence. Redistricting challenges and legal battles surround Trump investigations. Recent developments in both congressional redistricting efforts and legal challenges involving former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James highlight significant shifts in political landscapes and legal battles. The first article details a concerning trend for Republicans regarding Texas's congressional redistricting plans. The initial expectation of 5 Republican gains has diminished due to President Donald Trump's declining approval ratings, particularly among Latino voters, and strong Democratic performance in special elections. The Texas GOP's reliance on Trump's 2024 success, where he won every Republican-favored district by 10 points or more, appears increasingly vulnerable. Democrats have outperformed 2024 presidential margins in 5 special elections, suggesting a potential shift in voter sentiment. Vicente Gonzalez, a Democratic representative, anticipates regaining the majority and reclaiming South Texas. Republicans remain optimistic about overall gains nationally, leveraging Texas, North Carolina, Missouri, and Ohio. However, shifting national trends are introducing uncertainty. The second article concerns a significant legal victory for James Comey in a protracted legal battle with the Justice Department. Judge Colleen Culler-Cotelli ruled that the department unlawfully accessed electronic data from Comey's friend and former lawyer, Daniel Richman, during a renewed investigation. The judge deemed the September 2025 search manifestly unconstitutional, citing a violation of Comey's Fourth Amendment rights. The Justice Department's attempt to re-prosecute Comey following the dismissal of the initial case by a judge who found the interim U.S. Attorney, Lindsay Halligan, was serving in the role unlawfully has been met with frustration from judges and has created chaos within the U.S. Attorney's office in Arlington, Virginia. Judge Culler-Cotelli ordered the return of all copies of the Richmond evidence to Comey, limiting the Justice Department's access unless authorized by a judge in the Eastern District of Virginia. This ruling underscores concerns about the department's investigative practices and potentially impacts future prosecutions. The U.S. Attorney's Office's attempts to revive the case against James, the New York State Attorney General, have also been unsuccessful. AI's double-edged sword, a crisis in Hat Yai and beyond, the devastating floods in Hat Yai, Thailand, have highlighted the significant risks associated with artificial intelligence, demonstrating how it can simultaneously aid and hinder disaster response. The situation revealed a critical vulnerability: the potential for AI-generated misinformation to undermine trust and delay crucial actions. Initially, the widespread circulation of fabricated hero animal images depicting a dog carrying a kitten created confusion and, crucially, led rescue workers to dismiss a genuine resident's request for assistance involving a snake. This delay stemmed from a desensitization to the proliferation of these artificial images. The crisis intensified when political rivalries emerged, fueled by accusations surrounding People's Party MP Lisa, who was photographed assisting flood victims. Supporters questioned the authenticity of the floodwater depth, leading to the generation of AI-generated images to support their claims, further complicating the situation and diverting attention from the urgent need for rescue. A few Thai representatives' assistant used OpenAI's Sora to create a video clip, admitting it was an experiment in political communication, showcasing a fabricated waste deep flood scene. This episode underscores the alarming possibility of AI-generated realities dominating public discourse, particularly during elections. The BMA, however, is utilizing AI's potential for good, employing machine learning and IoT to analyze vast datasets, including weather forecasts, terrain data, and water levels to build sophisticated flood models and hydrological zoning maps, optimizing rescue resource allocation and evacuation planning. This contrasts sharply with the misuse in Hat Yai, emphasizing the need for ethical guidelines and transparency standards for AI applications in politics and public communication. To mitigate these risks, authorities must mandate disclosure for any synthetic content and provide citizens with digital literacy training to detect deepfakes and misinformation. A robust legal framework is essential to regulate high-risk AI applications and safeguard public trust. The Hat Yai experience serves as a stark warning. Without careful oversight and proactive measures, AI's potential for good can be easily corrupted, jeopardizing emergency responses and eroding public confidence. The key takeaway is the urgent requirement for responsible AI governance to prevent future crises and ensure that technology serves humanity, not the opposite. Government unveils comprehensive strategy to combat violence against women and girls. The government is implementing a multi-faceted strategy to address the escalating crisis of violence against women and girls, recognizing it as a national emergency. Central to this initiative is the establishment of specialist rape and sexual offense investigation teams, slated to be operational in every police force across England and Wales by 2029. These teams will replicate the Metropolitan Police's V100 program, utilizing data-driven tactics to identify and prosecute high-risk perpetrators. Alongside these teams, domestic abuse protection orders are being rolled out nationwide, following successful pilot programs. These orders provide a legal framework to restrict contact, access, and online activity for offenders, shifting the burden of enforcement from victims to law enforcement. Early evidence suggests significant arrest rates associated with order breaches. A substantial investment of nearly $2 million is being directed towards undercover police units, focused on online harassment of women and girls. Furthermore, the government is considering extending Clare's Law, currently used to uncover abusive ex-partners' histories, to encompass stalking, sexual assault, and harassment offenses. This expansion aims to broaden the scope of protection and address a wider range of abusive behaviors. The government acknowledges previous shortcomings in investigative practices, citing a significant disparity in the implementation of basic sexual offense investigation policies across police forces. A recent report highlighted the prevalence of sexually motivated crimes against women in public spaces and called for urgent action. The strategy represents a concerted effort to overhaul investigative processes, prioritize victim safety, and hold perpetrators accountable, reflecting a commitment to a safer environment for women and girls. The initiative's success hinges on effective implementation and sustained investment. Bristol Council bans sparks legal challenge amid gender-critical dispute. Two women's rights campaigners, Phoebe Beadle and Wendy Stevenson, have been banned from attending Bristol City Council meetings for 6 months following a contentious incident during a November meeting where Green Party councillors displayed trans rights placards. The council, led by Tony Dyer, cited intimidating behavior as the reason for the ban, escalating a long-standing dispute centered on differing views regarding the definition of woman under the Equality Act 2010. The Supreme Court ruling in April established that biological sex should be the determining factor. The ban followed a confrontational meeting where Beadle questioned Councillor Dyer about the council's response to the Green Party's actions. The situation highlights a broader conflict between gender-critical activists and those advocating for trans rights. The council's decision has fueled a legal challenge. Meanwhile, the Equality and Human Rights Commission, EHRC, chaired by Mary Ann Stevenson, has issued guidance for businesses and services regarding single-sex spaces. This guidance, drawn up after the Supreme Court ruling, stipulates that single-sex areas should be reserved for individuals of the same biological sex. The EHRC's document, a 300-page guide, allows for businesses to request confirmation of a person's sex through proportionate means. Stevenson emphasized that nobody is expecting there to be a toilet police, but acknowledged the need for businesses to improve signage, explanations, and alternative provisions if complaints arise. She advocated for solutions such as unisex facilities or self-contained cubicles. The controversy extends to the appointment of Stevenson to the EHRC role, which was met with hostility from some trans campaigners due to her financial support for Alison Bailey's discrimination claim. Stevenson maintains her commitment to objectivity, arguing that supporting democratic norms and open discussion is paramount. The core issue remains the interpretation of the Equality Act and the appropriate balance between protecting the rights of cisgender women and accommodating the rights of transgender individuals. The Council's actions, coupled with the EHRC's guidance, are expected to continue shaping the legal and social landscape surrounding gender identity. King Charles's cancer message sparks awareness and encourages screening. King Charles has been widely praised for a powerful video message, urging the public to take advantage of cancer screening opportunities, following his revelation of a cancer diagnosis in February last year. The video, recorded at Clarence House 2 weeks prior, highlights the significance of early detection and reduction in treatment frequency, scheduled to significantly decrease in the new year. 9 million people in the UK are currently not up to date with cancer screening, a statistic the King finds concerning. He emphasizes that early diagnosis offers the precious gift of hope and reduces fear associated with the illness. Health professionals, including Claire Garnsey of Greater Manchester Cancer Alliance, express gratitude for the King's message, noting its impact on raising awareness and encouraging proactive engagement with screening programs. Royal biographer Jonathan Dimbleby commends the King's warm, gentle, thoughtful, kind terms, describing the message as quite extraordinary and possessing a significant positive impact. Dimbleby also revealed that his father, Richard Dimbleby, was hesitant to discuss his own cancer diagnosis in advance, reflecting a historical reluctance surrounding the illness. The video's release triggered a surge in searches for NHS cancer screening programs, demonstrating the message's influence. General symptoms of cancer include new lumps or swelling, excessive sweating or high temperature, unusual fatigue, unexplained bruising or bleeding, persistent pain, and unexpected weight loss or changes in urination. The NHS offers screening programs for bowel, breast, and cervical cancer, detecting potential issues before symptoms appear. The King encourages the use of an online screening checker. He stresses that early detection is key to saving lives and provides reassurance to individuals facing a cancer diagnosis, emphasizing that it doesn't have to be a death sentence. The King's message is intended to diminish fear and promote proactive health management. Channel crossings resume following 4-week halt. Following a 4-week period of no migrant channel crossings, a significant surge occurred on Saturday, bringing dozens of individuals, believed to be migrants, to Dover, Kent. This resumption marks the longest uninterrupted absence of small boat arrivals since 2018, coinciding with typical December weather conditions, which typically discourage crossings. Home Office figures are expected to be released on Sunday detailing the exact number of arrivals. This year has witnessed a substantial increase in channel crossings, with 39,292 individuals having made the journey, surpassing the record set in 2022 with 45,774 arrivals. Since 2018, over 187,000 people have arrived via this route. The UK government has intensified efforts to combat these crossings, including the removal of nearly 50,000 illegal migrants and the implementation of a historic agreement with France designed to return those arriving by boat. A key component of this strategy is the Own In, One Out pilot scheme, launched in August, facilitating the return of migrants to France in exchange for individuals with a strong asylum claim being admitted to the UK. As of November 27, 153 individuals have been returned through this arrangement. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has pledged to smash people smuggling gangs and reduce crossings by 2029. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy recently engaged in discussions with European ministers concerning reforms to the European Convention on Human Rights to streamline deportation processes. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has announced changes to asylum procedures, including making refugee status temporary and subject to review every 30 months, and repatriation if a migrant's country is deemed safe. The government's continued focus remains on disrupting the flow of migrants attempting to reach the UK by sea, employing a multifaceted approach involving legal and operational measures. The ongoing debate surrounding these crossings highlights the complex challenges and political considerations involved in managing migration flows. UK train timetable overhaul impacts across the network. A significant overhaul of the UK's train timetable is taking effect nationwide, commencing on December 14th, driven by a $44 billion investment over a decade and aiming to improve connectivity and passenger capacity. The changes, the most substantial in over 7 years, involve Southeastern, Govia Thameslink Railway, GTR, Southwestern Railway, Northern LNR, TransPennine Express, and Cross Country. Key goals include reducing journey times, increasing the number of services, and enhancing overall network performance. The East Coast Main Line is receiving substantial upgrades, with a 15-minute reduction in journey times between London King's Cross and Edinburgh, and 10 minutes between Edinburgh and York. Network Rail has invested heavily in infrastructure improvements, including remodeling King's Cross Station, constructing a new turnback platform at Stevenage, building a tunnel under the railway at Warrington, and constructing a new platform at Doncaster. These projects aim to alleviate congestion and improve reliability. Within the East Midlands, East Midlands Railway, EMR, is introducing 2 direct services between Derby and Lincoln every hour during the week and Saturdays, alongside 1 train per hour on Sundays, providing a significant boost to the local economy. Elsewhere, Matlock to Derby to Nottingham will see 3 extra services in each direction from Ambergate and 2 from Matlock on Sundays. LNR is focusing on increasing services to London, Doncaster, Wakefield, Leeds, and Bradford Forster Square, with faster journey times between Newcastle and Edinburgh, running hourly direct trains 7 days a week. Northern Trains is extending services between Newcastle and Carlisle, running hourly instead of every 2 hours between Newcastle and Middlesbrough, stopping at Sunderland, Hartlepool, Stockton, and Thornaby. TransPennine Express will increase services between Newcastle and Edinburgh from 5 to 8 per day. However, the changes are not universally positive. Rail user groups, like Senrug, express concerns that the focus on faster journeys between major cities will disadvantage smaller stations and could lead to a decline in rail travel. Some stations, including Berwick, Morpeth, and Cramlington, will lose LNER services, and gaps of over 45 minutes between arrivals in Newcastle from Durham are considered problematic. The new timetable is expected to operate in full only until February 2026 due to ongoing engineering work across the network. Despite these concerns, the overall aim is to modernize the rail network and improve passenger experience. Passengers are advised to check with their train operator before traveling.